So that situation of having too many tabs open on your computer where you cannot focus is exactly what happens when you're experiencing a split ego state. My name is Ege. I'm the founder of Data Driven Actualization, where we help analytical men optimize their minds so they don't just have a good life on paper, but they also feel great, confident, and at peace while performing at a high level. This is a behind the scenes clip from our Data Driven Actualization mastermind, where we work on exactly that. I hope you enjoy. I want you guys to really picture this scenario, right? You know, a lot of you guys work from your laptop. Imagine it's Monday morning, you got yourself a nice coffee, you sit down, you're ready to start the week strong. You open your laptop, there's a tab for your email, there's a tab for a Google Doc with a big project. Maybe some of you guys use AI tools now. There's Claude open, there's ChatGPT, there's, I don't know, Excel, whatever tools you use daily. And what happens is you have so many tabs that your attention's pulled away between all these different things. And technically, you are on your laptop, you are doing work, right? But because your attention's pulled in so many different directions, you're not actually getting much done. And maybe this is not where you are today. Maybe today you're just locked in and really good at working. But I'm sure a lot of us in the past have had moments like that, where maybe you had a class in university you didn't like and you had to write an essay as an engineer and you thought, damn, I don't want to write an essay. Or maybe you were just more distracted growing up compared to who you are today, right? So that situation of having too many tabs open on your computer where you cannot focus is exactly what happens when you're experiencing a split ego state. And the reason split ego states arise a lot of the time is there's actually two systems that humans make decisions from. And this was discovered by a Nobel Prize winning psychologist called Daniel Kahneman. I may have butchered his name. I don't know how that's actually pronounced. But basically, system one is fast, automatic, and it operates through a felt sense and pattern matching, right? So usually when you have a gut feeling about something, you're operating from system one. And there's almost this sense of knowing in the body when you are taking out knowledge from the first system. And this system, kind of like what we covered last week, right, was built before language. So it doesn't always need language to explain itself. The second system, system two, is slower, more deliberate, more analytical. This is kind of the system that you build arguments from, where you build narratives, you have conclusions, you make pros and cons lists, right? And this is kind of the voice that you think of when you picture yourself thinking in your head. Now, the thing is, with the background a lot of you guys have, most of you guys in this call or in this virtual room have spent your lives being rewarded for overriding system one in favor of system two, right? Maybe you didn't want to study in school, but your parents said, oh, but you have an exam tomorrow. It's not important how you feel, you're going to need to study. Maybe you wanted to play an instrument. You wanted to do sports. You wanted to rest on a Sunday for once. But instead, you had all this homework to do, these tasks to take care of. And a lot of your life whether it's building products, building software, running a business, doing accounting, building games. Most of the stuff that you did up to this point was all system 2 dominant. Now, the problem that leads to in people who are more analytical is there's a lot of knowledge that comes from system 1. That's why it's important to check in with your gut feeling when you make big decisions. Like, who's ever had a feeling when you met someone while you're out somewhere and you think to yourself, oh, I really like this person. But it's not even like a logical conclusion. You're like, oh, this person's a good energy, right? Or maybe you took a class in university and you're like, I love this class. This professor's great. But there's no one thing you can point to and say, this is the reason why I like this person, or this class, or this professor. It's almost like a feeling that you get. So a lot of split ego states come from the mismatch between the part of you that's more analytical and a part of you that operates from more of a gut feeling. And because these systems gather their information from different places, they can come to different conclusions of the same event. So sometimes there isn't even an actual confusion. You're talking about the same thing, but just in different terms. And that's going to be very important to remember as we talk about split ego states. But before we get into that, there's something important that we want to mention. And this is the idea of the window of tolerance. So sometimes when you're about to make a decision, right? In the moment, it can be very difficult to say which decision is the right decision. Like, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I stay in this relationship where I've got a great girlfriend, she meets my criteria? Oh, but I want to travel and I want to have my own freedom. Do I go ahead and travel? Do I stay in this job that I really like? Or do I start something of my own? Right? Or sometimes, what am I going to eat tonight? Should I get some pizza? I worked really hard this week. It's time to relax. It's Sunday. Come on. Or, I have a diet I want to stick to. What should I do? The reason understanding the window of tolerance is important is this is the zone where change is actually possible. Because if you're really flooded with emotions when you're working with a belief system, then what happens is you're so in that worldview that it's impossible to pull yourself out. But when you're in the window of tolerance, you can reflect, you can integrate stuff, you can make conscious decisions, and the different parts that may have a disagreement can actually talk to each other, right? And what helps you bring this window in is, again, the unconditional loving witness. Because if one part of you is too active, or both parts are too active, they might just start fighting. And that's how we experience inner turmoil. Or maybe we stay stuck around the same decision for months, weeks, or even years. Or sometimes what happens is one part starts bullying the other part. So you get some parts of yourself that are just numb, that are tired of fighting back, that just end up disappearing. Yeah, good question, Amar. We'll get to that. So when you're in the window of tolerance, this is when you can have genuine dialogue. And this is when integration can happen between different parts. The reason I'm bringing this up before we get into the tactical stuff around working with split ego states is I really want to drill down the importance of working on the skill of building the unconditional loving witness and give you different parts of science to really sell you to practice this skill. If you have this, that's how you have the container of creating change. This was a clip from our year-long Data Driven Actualization mastermind for analytical men. If you resonate with it and you'd like to know how the transformation would look like for your life, you don't have to commit to a year. You can start with a 30-day U 2.0 accelerator as a risk-free test drive. You get the same system, the same modules, the same coaching, the same actualized OS tracking software. And the way we've designed it is if you just take the actions that would help you get results, you get to earn your investment back, which means I need to also filter you as a person to make sure you're not going to take advantage of this, right? So if you're interested, the next step is go to the link in description and book a planning call so I can understand exactly where you're at, what your goals are, what you're struggling with, and tell you if this would be helpful for you. And then only from there, you decide after you work with us in a risk-free way, whether you want to stay for a year. If this system, this message, these goals resonate with you, click the link below and book a call, and we'll speak from there.